Alida Becker has done it again. Her monthly column about new historical fiction has come out in the New York Times, and I want to go through it with you and discuss her picks. So if you're new, my name is Shelley, and I love books and reading, and I love historical fiction, and I've sort of recently put together that the New York Times has a columnist named Alida Becker who comes out with a monthly column about 4 new historical fiction releases, and she also comes out with an end of the year list, which has been really fun to explore. So let's go through her latest choices. This came out July 31st, I believe. So, kind of hot off the presses. No, if 10 days later, 12 days later, it's not that hot. So it's like real cold off the presses, but it's okay. We're discovering them together. So, yeah, I'm excited to spend this time with you. If you're new, my name is Shelley. I can be kind of silly and a little slapstick, but mostly I love talking about books and reading, and I've created this whole space. Now, it's not me. Like, y'all are here too. Y'all are a huge part of the space, but I have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to books and reading and discussing them with you. Yeah. So if you're enjoying the vibe, please subscribe. Without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Her column this month is Haunting Powerful New Historical Fiction for our columnist on 4 noteworthy new novels. And I think new is a little loose because I discussed something. I think, well, it might feel a little loosey-goosey, the term new, because I think that some some books are released in the UK several months or even a year before they come to the US. They don't always have the same aligned dates. So it's like they're new, but some people are like, they're not fresh always. Sometimes they've been out in the market for a little while, even if it's just in the overseas market, and then they finally hit us. But then it's like, oh, this title has been circulating, kind of. I don't know. I'm still learning about her choices, okay? I don't know her as well as I know other certain book critics. Okay, so her first choice is The Remembered Soldier by Anjet Danjay. And this has a little flame next to it, and it says popular with Times readers. I don't know why they put that. It's like, you're a Times reader, so we're pushing you even further towards this novel. It's like an awkward first date. It's pushing you towards that that date. And you're like, oh, yeah, but do I really want it? The title of Danjay's The Remembered Soldier, which is being sold by New Vessel, it's 562 pages in paperback, and it's going to be $22.95, is loaded with tragic irony. Do we like tragic irony? I'm not really sure. All right. Translated from the Dutch by David McKay, this provocatively labyrinthine novel dissects the consciousness of an amnesic veteran of World War I who has spent 4 years in a Belgium asylum only to be retrieved by a woman who insists she is his wife. Intrigue. Against the advice of the friars who have been his custodians, she installs him in her modest apartment, introduces him to their 2 children, and uses her account of his miraculous return to save a nearly bankrupt photography business she has somehow kept going in his absence. Yet, the stories she tells him about their past aren't entirely convincing. Okay. Can he trust her? Can he trust himself? Trying to maneuver through a maze of strange new possibilities, he continues to harbor deep doubts and even deeper fears. Is she hiding something from him? Has his mind shut down because of something awful he has done? As interludes of unexpected contentment yield to frightening blackouts, his mental lapses become increasingly frequent and violent, haunted by glimpses of other people and places. Are they hallucinations, or are they real memories? This marriage, he has come to realize, is built on quicksand. One false step, and they'll drown together. At first, I was thinking I was a little bit unsure. And now that I've fully read the description and absorbed it, I'm like, that actually sounds really, really interesting. I don't know this author. Let's see. So the author is from the Netherlands, and she has actually won several awards from her native country. This book was originally published, or it won awards back in 2020, so it means that it was probably published in the Netherlands between 2019 and 2020. So I think that's really interesting, and I wonder if it's because this author has won several awards that it is now being translated into English. She is a seasoned author. This is nowhere near her first work. And I think the premise does sound interesting. It's like, is this real or is it not? And I think it feels like a novel that might have a very slippery feel to it, which I think at times can be a really intriguing premise. So I did one of these videos a little while ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and Steve Donahue, our resident book critic, responded with historical fiction that he thought was wonderful, which was great. It was like Alida Becker, and then it was an addendum on Alida Becker's New York Times, the 4 novels that she recommended, and Steve had like 7 or 8 that he had recommended that were new to the market. And what's funny is that I'm like, Alida Becker, do you watch Steve Donahue? Because now she's mentioning a book that he mentioned in his video. So it was like, I made a video about Alida Becker's list, and then Steve responded with his own list as an addendum to Alida Becker, and now Alida Becker has one of Steve's books on her new list for this month. I know, kind of roundabout, but I think that it's so funny how the literature world and all of this stuff, the book world kind of talks to each other in these has these conversations with each other. I thought it was kind of interesting, and I was like, Alida, do you also watch Steve? That kind of thing. So the book that Steve mentioned and now Alida is mentioning is Florenzer, which is by Phil Mendelsohn. I recognize this because of all the covers that Steve had shown. This cover I found kind of intriguing and cheeky. You'll see it. You'll see the cover and see the cheekiness. Leonardo da Vinci is the quintessential Renaissance man, famed for his confident, wide-ranging intellect. Yet, in Florenzer, which is going to be put out by Liveright, it's 350 pages and will cost you about $30. Mendelsohn introduces us to a teenage Leonardo, still struggling to find himself amid the roiling artistic and political atmosphere of the late 15th century's Florence. A talented but feckless apprentice in the studio of Adrian del Verrocchio, he must learn how to navigate a city where everything seems to be a game of pretend. Okay. For a young man sexually attracted to other men, this can be particularly dangerous, landing him in prison if he's denounced by a note in one of the boxes kept in church for this very purpose. Yet his work may be his salvation, and for that Mendelsohn provides an intersecting narrative focused on another youthful Florentine. A very different sort of Scrivener, Lorenzo de' Medici, operates in a sphere that intermittently overlaps with Leonardo's, as does that of Francesco Salviati, an illegitimate scion of a rival banking family who hopes to rise in the Roman Catholic hierarchy. The lives of all 3 may be changed by the violence that will soon erupt in what should have been a holy sanctuary. In Florence, apparently nothing is sacred. That sounds really good. I'm adding it to my want to read list, which is ever growing, and I'm feeling, well, now the cover makes a little more sense, but when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. I did not clutch my pearls, but I was like, what a cheeky cover. The next book is Daikon by Samuel Hawley. In an author's note to Daikon, which is going to be put out by Avid Reader Press, it's 384 pages, and it's going to run, again, about $30. Hawley points out inconsistencies in the historical record concerning the amount of enriched uranium that was shipped from the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in 1945. So rather, kind of contemporary for historical fiction. And so he wonders, what if not 2, but 3 atomic bombs wound up in the Pacific Theater? And what if the 3rd one fell into the hands of the enemy when an American plane crashed on the Japanese mainland? His impeccably detailed narrative offers an unnerving fictional answer. At the heart of the drama is Kaizo Khan, an American-educated physicist sent on a top-secret mission to investigate the gigantic weapon found intact in the fuselage. Dubbed Daikon because it looked like a big black Daikon radish, the bomb becomes the centerpiece of an army officer's desperate attempt to forestall his country's surrender after the destruction of Hiroshima. Will Khan be forced to rig the device for a last-ditch kamikaze mission and join the crew himself? Will his sacrifice be enough to ensure the release of his wife, imprisoned in Tokyo and accused of treason? The novel's tension mounts in a highly cinematic fashion, despite our awareness of what the history books tell us. Well, coming from I am a woman with Japanese heritage. My grandmother was from Japan, and my dad was first generation American from his grandmother, although my grandfather has deep roots in the Americas. But I'm always interested in that relationship between Japan and America, and that tension, especially when we see in World War II. And so this sounds interesting, and I like that. I think the line that stuck out to me the most personally was the highly detailed narrative. Impeccably detailed narrative. I like historical fiction when you're learning about the history, but in a very particular way, like when the author is writing this detail partly because you need to know it for the story, but is doing it in this entertaining way where you're also learning about this, the incredible, this incredible piece of history that is being in some ways explained, but hopefully not condescendingly to you, so much so that you're learning or getting a really wonderful and rich perspective on a subject that you didn't yet know, I guess. Okay, suffice to say, it sounds interesting. Still, my top pick would be the Florenzer. I'm just saying. The last book is Are Green and Trembling by Gabriel Cabezon Camara. So Cabezon Camara, an Argentine novelist, is also an ardent feminist and environmental activist. So these concerns swirl through We Are Green and Trembling, which is put out by New Directions. It's a slim 196 pages, and in paperback will run you about $18. This poetic, sometimes hallucinatory tale, translated from the Spanish by Robin Myers, was inspired by the origin story of South America's Maya Guarani people and by the autobiography of Catalina de Yerso, who gained notoriety in 17th century Spain for her New World exploits living as a man. Oh, fascinating. A letter from the conquistador, known as Antonio de Russo, serves as the framing device. Writing to the aunt whose Basque convent he left over 30 years ago, Antonio relates some of the adventures of those years, even as he strays into satirical deception of the remote military outpost from which he has escaped, accompanied by a pair of monkeys and 2 Guarini children. Sheltering in the jungle, he engages in the often hilarious religious dialogue with the little Guarini girls who believe the world was made by a goddess fed by a hummingbird. What a fascinating origin story. Oh my gosh. A notion that seems entirely plausible given their lushly fantastical surroundings. That sounds kind of neat. Meantime, back at the outpost, Antonio's former comrades are indulging in their own fantasies via a copy of Don Quixote. Oh my gosh, so it's in conversation with Don Quixote. It's hallucinatory but sounds satirical and has a lot of wit. Okay, at first I was like, I don't know. If it's hallucinatory, I don't know. Like, I was sort of like, ugh. But now I'm like, that actually sounds really joyful and really, really fun. So that is it. Okay, still, Florenzer sounds the best. It sounds like the book I want to read. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I think it's just, when I encounter names with accents, it's just better to lean into a little dramatic flair, so I don't feel self-conscious in pronouncing things. But what stood out to you? Let me know. All right, thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.